Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Asha and Noah Show!
I'm a duck now.
You're a duck?
Yeah. Yes. I'm a duck. Quack, quack.
Okay. How's the week been as a duck?
Quack.
Did much swimming?
Yeah. Whoa, what was that?
Okay.
Yeah, I ate some bread that some people left out for me.
Oh,
Been out with my friends, yeah. Been quacking a bit. What was that?
I heard that. What was it?
It sounded like a duck.
You're a duck, so.
What do you think it was? What is that? It's not me.
Is it like down here? Right. Oh, hello. Hello. Oh, no. That's not a duck. Wait, why are you scared of him?
Scary.
You're scared of a duck, but you're a duck. He's nice, he's cute. Come down. There you are. Oh, okay. It's fine, it's fine. Come over here. It's fine.
Is it gone?
Oh, okay. Okay, calm down. Okay. Alright, should we move on? Alright, let's go.
You need to do it.
Oi, Hero Factory, how we doing? You weren't expecting me, were you? Maybe you were. Anyway, Hero Factory, I've just come on for a few seconds just to let you know that you guys are in for a treat. That's right, it's not me speaking to you today. We have got the very wonderful Sophie. Now, Sophie is from our Barnard Castle location, and she is incredible. And today, she's going to come and share with you one of her favorite stories in the Bible, one of her favorite heroes that you can find in the Bible. So, can I get a big round of applause for Sophie?
Hi Hero Factory, I hope you're all doing good. I was so excited to hear that you've been learning about the different heroes in the Bible, because I don't know about you guys, but I love superheroes, and my favourite superhero is Spider-Man. I think it's so cool how he can shoot webs and how he can climb so high. How amazing is that? But my favourite superhero in the Bible is a man named David, because he fought a giant named Goliath. And I love David's heart for God and for his people, because everyone was so scared to challenge Goliath. But David loved his people and loved God so much that he was willing, because he knew that God was fighting for him. And even though David was the youngest of all his brothers, and he wasn't even a soldier, he was a shepherd, he still trusted that God would fight for him. And Hero Factory today, that is our big answer, is that God fights for us. So we're going to watch a quick video explaining the story of David and Goliath.
God's story, David and Goliath. So part of God's story is about the time David fought Goliath. And it begins like this. David was the youngest of 8 brothers. His job was being a shepherd, which meant he spent all day in a field watching sheep eat and roll around the grass. Meanwhile, some of his brothers were off with the Israeli army, preparing for war against the Philistines. The Philistines were one of the toughest armies the people of Israel had to fight. So one day, David was taking food to his brothers because his dad asked him to. But when he got there, his brothers accused him of coming so he could watch the fight instead of the sheep. Since David knew in his heart he was just obeying his dad, he didn't mind being misunderstood. Anyway, while David was there, he saw a huge Philistine man, more than 9 feet tall, step onto the field between the two armies. He was wearing a thick helmet and armor and carrying huge weapons. His name was Goliath, and he was definitely used to being the winner. David found out that Goliath had been stepping onto the field like this every morning for the past 40 days and saying, "Give me a man and let us fight each other." But nobody from Israel was brave enough to fight him, even the king. Well, David didn't like that this giant was intimidating the Israelites. After all, they were God's special family. And because God was with the Israelites, they could have courage in any situation. So David, who wasn't even a soldier, told the king, "I'll fight against him. Nah, the king thought David was too small, but he really wanted someone to fight Goliath, so he gave in. And David knew he wasn't strong enough to beat Goliath by himself, but he believed God would be with him. So he said, "The Lord will rescue me from the hand of this Philistine." The king hoped David was right. He even had his own weapons and armor put on David, but they didn't fit him. David decided to go into battle in his regular clothes. That's how sure he was that God would help him. Anyway, David went to a nearby stream and chose 5 smooth stones to use with his slingshot. Then he walked onto the battlefield to meet the massive Goliath. When Goliath saw how wimpy David looked, he was furious. He thought he'd get to fight the Israelites' strongest warrior. He said to David, "Am I a dog that you come at me with sticks? I'll give your flesh to the birds and wild animals." David might have looked like a wimp, but he was actually really brave. In fact, he was so brave that when he was taking care of sheep, he fought off bears and lions. Because God helped him protect his sheep, David knew God would help him protect this special family. David said, "You come at me with a sword, but I come at you with the name of the Lord Almighty." He was explaining to Goliath that God was more powerful than anything. He also added that he would feed Goliath's flesh to the birds, which made the giant even more mad. Then David took a stone, put it in the slingshot, and slung it at Goliath. Goliath didn't even get a chance to swing a sword because the stone hit him right in the forehead and sunk in deep. He face planted straight into the ground. Nobody could believe it. Then David ran over, took hold of the giant's sword, and drew it from the sheath. He took the sword and cut off Goliath's head. David carried the head all the way back to Jerusalem. And when the Philistine army realized Goliath was dead, they started running away like a bunch of scaredy cats. The Israelites chased the Philistines, shouting loudly. They had won. God used David, who was just an average kid, to rescue his people. And that's the story of David and Goliath.
Isn't it amazing, Hero Factory, how God saved his people, the Israelites? And I love how much David trusts in God, that even though the situation with Goliath seemed impossible, that he was still willing because he knew that God was fighting for him. In Hero Factory, David's fight wasn't about weapons or armor, but it was a fight of faith, because David was small, he was young, and he shouldn't have won that battle, but with God, Hero Factory, we can do anything. Hero Factory, sometimes there can be giants in our lives too. Not real giants, because that would seem pretty strange, but sometimes we have situations that can seem pretty big and scary. So the coronavirus, sometimes we have to wear masks, and the past year we couldn't leave our house. Or maybe you're starting a new class or school in September, and that can seem really scary too. But we need to remember that God is fighting for us. So my challenge for all of you is to do something brave, just like David did, because with God we can do anything. So that might mean trying something new, like riding a bike for the first time, or it could be talking to someone at your school maybe who doesn't seem to have many friends. But we all need to remember, Hero Factory, that God fights for us. So that's it for Kids Church this week, and we hope to see you next week. Bye!